Hello and welcome to this checkmate pattern recognition video. So pattern recognition is very important in chess. One of the quickest ways you can improve your chess is to do many chess puzzles, solving tactics, and make sure that you go over them more than once. If you just do a puzzle and then forget about it, it won't stay in your long-term memory. But if you pick a series of puzzles, like today, I'm going to try and do 20 checkmate in 2 puzzles, and go through those and then repeat through them again multiple times. If you go through a series of chess puzzles 7 times, it'll help burn it into your long-term memory. So pause the video at any time if you need to. If not, here we go. The king was in check here by the rook and just ran away, attacking our bishop. So what do we do here to checkmate the king? Now I have these puzzles set at 500 to 1000, and I'll do a series of these, maybe increasing the difficulty in future videos. But to begin with, to recognize patterns, you want to find problems that are a little bit easier, because if they become too difficult, then you're practicing more with your calculation ability. All right, so pause if you need more time. If not, it looks like we can go here with our rook, because this rook cuts off our king's escape. The rook here on e6 will check, forcing the king to capture here, where it'll be trapped on this h5 square because of this pawn, and that will allow our other rook to swing over here and deliver mate on h7. So try and figure that out in your head. Here we go. Check and mate in 2 there. So that was rated 820. On to the next problem here. So we just had a piece captured. What do we do next here? Now, when you're trying to solve tactics, puzzles, even in your own games, look for checks, captures, and threats. Now, because we know there's a checkmate in 2 here, we want to go ahead and look for all the checks. So, if the queen captures here with check, the opponent can just recapture the queen. The same with here, or here, or here. So, maybe we have to look for something else other than the queen checking. What other piece can check? Well, hopefully you found that the bishop can check by going here, and the knight cannot capture because of this pin, so the king would be forced to move. So just remember, once you place a king in check, there are 3 options. Capture the attacker, which is not possible here because of this pin, and the other 2 options are to block, and with the bishop here, there aren't any pieces that could block. The final option is to run. So the king is forced to run, but our queen will be able to deliver a mate here on f7. So take a look at that, figure out in your head if you have it. Here we go. Check. The king runs and mate. So a nice little pattern there with the bishop and queen working together. All right, on to the next problem. The king was being checked by the queen. So how do we continue our attack here and deliver this mate in 2? Well, look for those checks first. Now, what can we do here? If the rook goes here, the knight can capture. If the rook goes here, the king can capture. So the rook's The moves by the rooks, well, excuse me, the rook moves do not look so great. So that brings us back to our queen. Maybe our queen needs to continue checking. All right, we don't want to go here or the king will just capture us. The same goes with here. So that leaves this move. All right, so hopefully figure this out. Pause if you need more time. If not, we're going to go here. Now, this is a great little teaching tool or teaching moment here. Whenever your queen can deliver a check and be protected, of course, then the queen, when it checks on the corner, one of the corners of the squares around the king, it will attack the king and cover these squares through the diagonal and also on both sides, unless there's a pawn or some piece blocking the queen's path. So the only places the king could run to is to g3 if that pawn wasn't there. And now the only option is here to h2. So look at that pattern of the queen attacking on a corner, and the queen covers the two sides and the diagonal through the middle, and the only thing that's not covered are the two side squares on the opposite sides of the queen here. So, great pattern to know there. The king will be forced, after we go here, the king will be forced to move there. And then, what do? From there, we can deliver a mate by swinging our queen over here. All right, here we go. Check and mate. And so this pattern, the queen covers here and here, and of course these squares here, and the rook backs the queen up. All right, on to the next one. Oh, we just had a blocking move. Well, not, I guess an attacking move here. Bishop drops back to help defend the king, attacking our queen. So we need to do something here. But what? Take a look at all the pieces we have available to help go after the king. All right, we have the queen covering here. The knight is attacking here. There's a possible check with the knight over here, but the queen is covering that. We have a bishop lined up through here. So this one's a little bit trickier, but hopefully you found the answer. Now, sometimes you can't immediately check the king and then go into a checkmate. And if you can't do it with one of the pieces, like the queen can't go up here or it'll just be captured, and the queen can't go to either of these squares, or the king will capture. So we might have to check with another piece, giving it up and clearing the way for a mate here with the queen. And how do we do that? Well, we'll have to drop the knight back out of the way. This is kind of a clearance sacrifice. We're clearing the way for the bishop and queen mate here by giving up, or sacrificing the knight over here. So check, queen captures, and mate. Great little pattern there. All right, on to the next one. We have an attack. An attack on our queen in the center here. And, okay, hopefully you figured this one out. Take a look at all the checks that are possible, and that should help you solve this one quickly. Always be aware of back rank weaknesses. Very important. So if you look at the back rank, the only thing defending it at the moment is the queen. So hopefully that will help you solve this one. What would you do in this position? All right, you look at all your checks. If your queen, or excuse me, if your knight goes here, the king could just move. If the knight goes here, the pawn could capture. So we may have to sacrifice a piece. So we'll start looking at the queen. Hopefully you saw the answer. Pause if you need more time. If not, the queen move that wins will be to sacrifice the queen, checking the king, forcing the queen to capture. But it's only a temporary sacrifice because then our rook jumps up here and delivers a back rank mate. So check and mate. All right, I'll try and speed this up a little bit if I want to get 20 of these in. Okay, we had a check to the king and the king runs for its life. All right, can we follow up that attack? Yes, we can. All right, great pattern of knight and queen working together. And the important thing about this pattern is that the queen can move in the same manner as bishops, rooks, the king, all the other pieces, except for the knight. It can't move in that L shape. So they combine together and work very well, especially in a mate here. So hopefully you saw the answer. Check here, forcing the king to run into the corner, and then the queen can deliver mate here, backed up by the knight. All right, check and mate. On to the next problem. Feel free to leave comments. Let me know, are these a little bit too easy? I'll bump the difficulty level up in the future. But this is good to allow you to see many patterns. All right. We had a check here by the knight. Instead, well, I guess the bishop was pinned and could not capture the knight. So we have the king running, and it looks like we can deliver a mate once again using the combination of knight and queen here. So as I mentioned before, look for checks first, and then hopefully you will find queen to d5 delivering a check. And when the king's in check, they have to capture, block, or run. There's no way to block or capture, so the king would have to run, and then we deliver a mate on f7. So here we go. Check and mate. All right, on to the next one. We have a capture, attacking our queen here. We could just recapture, but if we do that, our queen will still be covering because there's a threat of a mate here. If our queen does not protect that square, there's a possibility of just mating here. But it's our turn to move. How do we win? All right. Take a look at this. Look at checks first, and hopefully you found the back rank mate because of the back rank weakness. All right. How can you check the king? If you go here, you'll be captured. So you have to go back here to the back rank. And the only thing that can be done, the king can't run or capture. So they would have to block. They would have to block with the rook. Then we capture with mate. So here we go. Check and mate because of the back rank weakness, and room was not made by pushing a pawn up, leaving an escape hatch. So On to the next problem. Oh, a knight has jumped forward, attacking our queen and also threatening a fork here of our rooks. But with us to move, maybe we can find something here. All right. Yes, this is a great little pattern. Now, if you're having trouble seeing it, look at all the pieces that are hovering around a king. It usually takes about 3 pieces, or more, but not always, to checkmate a king. But here we have a rook lined up on the king. So it pins this pawn here if we decide to move here or here. So that's a hint. Hopefully you'll figure this one out. We are going to deliver a check with the knight. The pawn can't capture because of the pin by the rook. So the king, now when a knight is checking, you can't block that. So the king is reduced to only 2 options: capture the knight or run from the knight. And because of that pin by this rook, that can't be done. You can't capture. So knight will move up here. The king will be forced to run, and then our queen can deliver a mate here. So I hope you found that one. Check and mate. A great pattern, once again, of knight and queen working together with a little help from that rook because of that pin. All right, problem number 10. Here we go. We have an attack on our rook. What can we do here? Well, it looks like this time, instead of the knight working with the queen, the knight will work with the pair of rooks instead. So we need to find a way to deliver a check where the king can't just capture the attacker. So, if this rook moves somewhere, it could go here and be protected by the knight, but that will allow the king to escape up the board. So maybe we have a different check. Well, whenever you have the opportunity to deliver a double check, or even like this, a double discovered check, always take a look at that. So here we're going to deliver a double discovered check. And when that happens, the king doesn't have the option to capture, block, or run because the king's being attacked by 2 different pieces. So you can't capture both at the same time and you can't block both at the same time. So the king will have to run, and we'll go here. King will be in check by the knight and the rook, and at the same time the knight will be protecting this rook. So that severely limits the king's options. He can only go here, and then we'll be able to bring the other rook up and deliver mate on g3. So check and mate. So that knight did a great job protecting the rooks, and the pattern of rook and knight mating here. All right, we'll try and get 10 more in, so I'll speed these up some. Let's see here. What can we do? We have rooks attacking, and it looks like we need the help of a pawn. So let's pause if you need more time to think here, but if you have it, then let's push forward here. So we're going to push this pawn up, delivering check. Now once again, capture, block, or run when the piece is right beside the king, especially if it can't capture it because it's protected like this pawn would be here. Then you can't block, you can't capture, the king will have to run, and our rook will deliver a mate here on h3. So check and mate. All right, on to the next one. And you see the rook does a good job of protecting this pawn as well, and this pawn is cutting off that square, preventing the king from running. Okay, the knight has pressed forward here, attacking our bishop. Okay, what do we have lined up around this king? Well, we have a pawn cutting off that square, and it's protected by queen and rook. We have a bishop and knight in the vicinity. Of course, if we go here, there are multiple knights covering that. So maybe we need to look for a different check. And remember, you don't always, or not always able to check and then mate. Sometimes you have to play a move that sets up a mate, and it might not even be a check. But you want to look at checks first, as they're the most forcing. And that would help you find the answer to this one. So check with the bishop. The king would be forced. Well, the king can't do anything. It's trapped over here. And the bishop would be attacking. So rook is forced to capture. Queen would recapture and deliver mate. So check and mate. All right, I hope you're doing good so far. On to problem number 13. Will it be unlucky or not? Let's find out. Okay. Well, look for those checks. We have only queen checks. Here or here. Now, we probably don't want to go here because the pawn or the king could just capture our queen. So if we go here, we'll be backed up by our bishop. And another good pattern, when a queen lands on the side of a king, okay, you have all the 8 squares around the king. If the queen lands on one of the sides in the middle square here, the queen will cover here, here and here, here and here. So a nice little pattern. You'll notice the only thing the queen cannot cover are the opposite corners from where the queen is. And because black's own queen is blocking the king will be forced to run here. So now we just have to find a way to deliver a check and mate from there. And hopefully you'll see that the knight can jump in there, delivering check and also cutting off this square from the king escaping. All right, that might be a lot for some beginners, but take a look at it, see if you can figure out in your head. Here we go. Check, and the knight delivers the mate, covering here and here. The queen is covering here, and this diagonal protecting the bishop, and the bishop is helping cut off that square. So, nice little pattern there. We have 7 more to go. Oh, looks like we just had, a capture here by that knight. But it's our turn, and a great pattern here with a rook on the 7th rank, targeting the bishop, but also allowing a combo here with a queen and a rook working together. So look for those checks. Now you don't want to go here with your queen because it'll just be captured. So hopefully that will help you find the winning answer. Moving the queen here, forcing the king to run, and then you can pick off the bishop with mate. So check and mate. All right, 6 more to go. The knight has just captured a piece, but it's our turn. What do we do? Well, look for those checks first, as always. And there aren't many here. In fact, I only see, 1? So, we'll take a look at that one first for sure. Queen here, but then what? If the king runs here, then our queen can deliver a mate. So the king will probably go the other way, run here, but then we have a tricky back rank mate because our queen could swing up here, delivering a back rank mate. All right, take a look at that. Try and figure it out in your head. Here we go. Check and mate, because the bishop is covering that square and there's no way to block that attack or capture the queen. Okay, just 5 more to go. What was that, a capture? Okay, another great pattern with knight and queen working together. So, look at those checks first, and hopefully you'll be able to solve this one quickly. Pause if you need more time. If not, we're going to capture the pawn with check here, forcing the king to run, and then we'll deliver a mate here backed up by our knight. So check and mate. On to the next one. Bishop drops back, creating a battery and attacking the queen. But we have a great little checkmate pattern here. Okay, look at the checks first. Now obviously our queen can't go here or the king will just capture and won't be mated. So maybe we have another check that's even better, but keep that queen attack in mind because the bishop is lined up there. So if only we could move this knight out of the way and deliver a check at the same time, because if we try to move the knight here, that could give our opponent time to block the attack by pushing this pawn up. But if we move here with check, then we would be threatening a mate up here. All right, check and mate, backed up by the bishop. All right, 3 more to go. What did we have? Oh, was that just a capture and pinning the rook to our king? So that's looking dangerous. If we take, then the pawn would promote to a queen. So we need to act immediately here. And how do we do it? Okay, great pattern here. So look for the checks first. Obviously, we don't want to go here or here. The king could just capture us. So the only other check appears to be here with the queen, attacking the king. Now the king can run here or here, but either way, we'll be able to finish off with mate by placing the queen on e1. So I hope you're able to find that one. Check and mate. Now this is that great pattern of attacking the king from a corner square, you know, making sure you're protected, of course. The bishop protects. The queen covers the diagonal, the 2 sides. The only thing the queen does not cover are these 2 squares, and the pawns are blocking the king from escaping there. All right, we have 2 more. Here we go. Bishop just moved up here, but that allows us to perform a mate in 2. Hopefully you can find it quickly here. Take a look. Look for all the checks. All right, and look for pieces that are lined up or aimed towards the king or the squares around the king. And you'll notice this bishop over here is very important. And then we have a battery of rook and queen lined up there. And that is your hint. And that's how you'll be able to solve this. All right, we're going to sacrifice the queen. The rook will capture. And then our rook will deliver mate, backed up by the bishop here. So check and mate. Great pattern. We see that the queen is cutting off the king from escaping on this square. The bishop is covering this and the rook covers here and here. Okay, the final problem. Here we go. Knight drop back attacking our knight. So what do we do here? Well, we want to look for checks first. Now, this one may be a little trickier than I first thought. How can we deliver checks? The knight can go here or here. You know, bishop would capture if we go here. Rook could capture if we go here. So, you know, when you look at checks, make sure you have a good follow-up. Don't check just because you can. All right, so we have a rook here that can deliver a check. So if we do that, delivering a check there, protected by our knight, the king, well, the rook can't be captured, can't be blocked. The king will have to run and go here. And now the knight would be under attack. Oh, and the knight could drop back, delivering a mate here. All right, take a look at that. See if you can solve it in your head. If you're ready, here we go. We're going to deliver the check. And awesome pattern here. We have the bishop cutting off these squares. The rook is cutting that one off. And, you know, white's own pieces are helping here by blocking him in. And the knight is just going to drop back here, attacking, and also covering the square that it was on at the same time it attacks the king. So, you know, here you have it. The knight cutting off the king from running here, attacking. The bishop is attacking, well, not attacking, but covering the other squares so the king can't run, along with the rook. Okay, I hope you did well with those 20 checkmate in 2 patterns there. I'll try and do more of these in the future. You know, leave comments. Do you want harder problems? You know, or any comments that you would like to leave. I always enjoy hearing from viewers and subscribers. And please like and subscribe if you haven't already to support the channel. So thank you for watching and have a super chess day.